everyone. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Beyond the Pump, and Happy New Year. It's our first episode of 2026. To kick us off into a very exciting year of Beyond the Pump, I thought it'd be a great idea to have Elizabeth Graham, the CEO of the California Fuels and Convenience Alliance, join us on this episode.
Thank you.
And I'm very, very, very excited to have her here today, you, Elizabeth, here today, because you're the one who's been here the longest at the association. And so, me personally, we chit chat at the office all the time, but I'm curious to hear a little bit more about your perspective on certain things that we plan to talk about today. I think the best way to start is probably introducing yourself. Let us know a little bit more about you, how you ended up at CFCA, and how long you've been here for.
Perfect. So I started a nonprofit a long time ago, early 1990s. And what I loved about nonprofits, especially association work, is the impact that you can have on people and that you're really working to help people's business. And so that ignited a passion in me from the very beginning. And I knew that at some point I wanted to be able to use some of my skill set and my strengths to run a nonprofit. So what was ironic about how I got to this particular role or in this industry is prior to this, I was working for a nonprofit that they managed the transportation of a small community here in Sacramento. And their goal was to reduce the single car use. And it was just a very interesting perspective where I realized that I may not have a passion for that. And so when this job came up, I really did feel like I wanted to work in this space more. I liked the transportation aspect of it, but I really liked that I was going to be advocating on behalf of small businesses in California rather than transportation in California, if that makes any sense. So I think the biggest thing that really shocked me about it is I was not aware that gas stations were individually owned. And so when I did the interview, I'm like, what? And that was right then I knew, okay, I get to work with business owners again. I get to work with the passion that stands behind small business. And that's what brought me here and why I've been here now for 8 years. Next month or March will be 8 years. And I just really love what I do. I love the team that I get to work with. I obviously love the board and I love the members. It's just a really good combination of positive industry, hardworking, the hardest working.
So hardworking. I think you bring up a good point that someone was asking me about our industry earlier a couple weeks ago, and it dawned on me that it really is across, like this industry really is across, like an intersection of just so many different things, like entrepreneurship and also transportation and then energy, consumer demand, it's a lot. So it's never a bored day. I will say that. And I think you can agree to that too.
That's right. That's definitely right.
Well, then as we kick off this new year with CFCA, because we're in January right now of 2026, as CEO, leading our association, is there anything top of mind for you that you're really paying attention to particularly? I mean, there's a lot going on. So, what is top of mind for you this year?
Well, I think that staying focused on some of our key initiatives, we did roll out internally and also to the board in 2024, our strategic plan, which ends at the end of this year. And I say this all the time, but it's just never a way for us to predict what sort of regulations are going to pop up out of nowhere. And because we work in the space where policies are fluid and we work in a local space where, again, that is even more fluid than at a state level, we really cannot predict what one city or another city is going to throw out in a city council meeting. So what I think more important is looking at what our core initiatives are, which is making sure that we're driving a lot of conversation on education and educating the public and the consumer on what is this industry? What does it look like? How much regulation are our members really having to look over, to follow, to make sure they're following every single rule? And it's not easy to do that. And as the state continues to regulate this industry, it just impacts financially. The more you have to follow rules, the more people you have to hire to make sure you're following the rules. So it's just one of those things. And I think that as long as we can continue to stay focused on the education piece to consumers and our legislators, everything else we can kind of fight as it comes along. But I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the main goal.
Yeah, it's a big goal, and we work on that a lot. It's because there's so much to educate on. And personally, when I joined CFCA 3 years ago, there was so much that I was like blown away that I didn't even know existed in this industry that so many of us, when I say this industry, in case listeners don't really have any context, it's the fuels and convenience industry. And it consists of everyone from the gas station convenience store operators and owners that we interact with pretty much every day. You fuel up there, you pick up your maybe morning coffee, snacks on the way home, things like that, all the way to your fuel marketers, common carriers that transport fuel within California, just to make sure that everyone like you and I, we can drive our car to work, to on the weekend, things like that. And so from your perspective in the education conversation, what do you think is something that just regular people who don't work in this industry misunderstand about this industry that we're maybe still having to work really, really hard to educate people about?
I think that, I guess, what I learned when I first started would be that the gas stations are owned by individuals. There's a very small percentage of the gas stations that are in California that are run by our name brand, Chevron, Shell, BP, and Arco. A lot of those, they have their own locations, but a very small percentage of that. And everything else, even with the brands, are run by small business owners. And I think that is shocking. I think it puts a very different perspective on how you, at least for me, as somebody that is or was an outsider to the conversation, it does make me look at where I fuel up very differently, and how I look at what is a convenience store and who's running that. And it's the you and the me, and the day-to-day business owner. And I think if educating the consumer and our legislative body could understand that more, I would hope that they would be a little bit more understanding, and work with us more, and work with us as CFCA to continue to educate the consumer and their peers at the legislature. So I think that's one piece. I think the other piece that is fascinating to me is that I didn't know that we had companies that their whole entire job is distributing the fuel to the gas stations. Again, I thought that was all of the brands did it. They didn't realize there was somebody in the middle of that doing the wholesale piece of it. And there's just so many layers of that, and not one size fits all of the industry. So I could know a member that runs their business a certain way, and then find out that another business owner runs it a totally different way, and that it's not, there's no one business that runs the same way, just like anything else. But I think as an outsider looking in, that would be surprising to know.
Mm-hmm. It is. And I mean, for me, I wouldn't say just recently, but maybe in the past year, just knowing the reach of our members, like you're talking about, the fuel trucks, they don't just deliver to gas stations, they deliver to
Correct.
municipalities, to like farmers, construction, all these other different, it's just completely different groups of people.
Yeah.
That to me is just, it's mind blowing, like the reach of our members, like you're saying.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, and so this year, what do you see as CFCA's most important role beyond advocacy? Because I feel like education kind of goes hand in hand with advocacy, but like we've mentioned a couple times already, that's one layer of it. There's so many other layers. So beyond advocacy, where do you see CFCA really being a resource for our members this year and beyond?
Well, I think that, I guess, internally making sure that and to say beyond advocacy, I get that there's a lot that we can do beyond that. I do think that our partnerships with, because what I'm hearing from our members is what is the pain point for them, and a lot of this is running a business in California. So what pieces of this can we make it easier for them? I would showcase that one thing that your team has done really well is making sure that we've got compliance toolkits. That is an education piece, but it's not in the advocacy space. So it's really educating, giving all of the tools, all of the opportunity to our members, both big and small, that they have something to walk away with to limit their liability, limit any risk that they have. And again, that might still be education, but it's really more of internal. How can we answer your questions? How can the team of CFCA have all of the information to make it easier for you to continue to do business in California? Because I
Yeah.
certainly, as a consumer, do not want less. I don't want there to be less opportunity for me to fuel my car, or for the farmers or the suppliers to no longer be able to get food at to a grocery store. Those are all going to be they're going to impact me as a consumer and other consumers, and making sure that we make it easier for the businesses in our industry to do business.
Yeah. Yeah. That really hits home. I mean, that kind of segues into the next question I have on my mind is when you talk with our members and interface with them, the operators in California, what are you hearing most consistently is their pain points? What's keeping them up at night? What is their, the challenges that they're just really struggling with right now?
Well, one that I just heard this morning is the insurance landscape. So that would be all insurance, right? Health insurance just went up by 8%. That's for everybody. And as a small business, which CFCA is also a small business, we run into, how do we make sure that we have the benefits that still bring in good working staff to help us as a team, and it's competitive out there. And so health insurance went up. How do we navigate that? How do we make sure that we offer those benefits? And I that's what I hear even throughout the industry. The other piece of that is we're in a wildfire area as the state of California, and trying to navigate what type of insurance that our members are going to be able to carry. We also run the risk of, um, and it is on the gas station side, but we do have members that can't be covered because of the volatile nature of the products that they sell. And so I think there's so many pieces. So when I say insurance, I really mean like the whole gamut of what the insurance landscape looks like in California. And while some of that is the that the insurance industry is definitely trying to work on that, it's directly impacting our members still. Like it's not going away. The cost of doing business here is continuing to go increase. And I think the insurance piece is a big part of that. And I did hear that this morning. So yeah, that's, and to that same point, I think the crime and not having the tools that we need, or those that are in law enforcement don't have the tools that they need to be able to enforce Prop 36, which help keep our community safe. And it helps
Mhm.
those that are in business keeping their team safe. So it's all of those pieces that really is more, those are more specific reasons on where they're concerned, but it's really doing business in California, right? The cost of it.
Yeah, affordability. I mean, as you're saying this, in my mind, it really is a mirror of just what us as consumers also experience. And, you know, when you walk out the door, if you go shop on your own, is there a feeling of just of unsafe, you know, of your being, of your you being you and you being and feeling unsafe, because businesses, you know, business owners also want you to feel safe to walk into their store, to be able to shop and all that. So it really is, I think, um kind of all tied in, because
Yeah.
affordability too, if it's plaguing consumers, most chances are it's also plaguing businesses. And I think I personally don't hear that narrative enough. And it's just, it's hard. It really hard. It's hard for everyone in California, but you know, business owners, especially if they're small businesses and small mom and pops who we do represent too, as our members.
Well, and if you
Um,
think about it, so I live in a community where I live close to a, you know, outside mall. You know, it's stores that
mm,
you go in from the outside. And it just seems like every 6 months one of those stores is going out of business. And most recently, there's a Bath and Body that is going out of business. And they have publicly, excuse me, publicly announced that it is because of the safety, and that they are getting they're 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 having shoplifters come in there and aggressively come in there. And now they're going to close their location. They're a bigger business. You might not see that your soaps and your lotions and your candles go up very much significantly. But when you're talking about a small business, even outside of the fuel, but if you're talking about any small business where they're going to have to recoup the loss of their products, there, who is going to pay for that? And that is the consumer. I mean, obviously the small business, but they shouldn't have to do that. We should not, as a state, have to worry about our small businesses closing because of this kind of vandalism and theft and violence, actually.
Yep. And in a state where, I mean, California has the most small businesses in the whole nation. 98% of businesses here are small businesses. So, you know, it is a really scary time. And back to bringing, I mean, full circle back to education and advocacy. That's why that is very important. It's a very important pillar, I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah. Well, I want to kind of shift us a little bit over to another conversation, is at the same time, where do you see resilience and opportunity show up in the industry, where, you know, despite all these challenges, how do our members or small business owners that you see, how do they find opportunity and kind of fight back against all this?
I think the most inspiring thing to see is when you are talking to when I speak to the members, is that they're so innovative and creative that those that are really in this, they're already thinking of ways to make their business continue. We have members who have completely shifted their business so that their C store inside is more like a small grocery store. And
Mm.
somebody like me who doesn't like to actually grocery shop and stand in the lines, and I love to be social, but not while I'm grocery shopping. I don't want to be like small talking with some guy next to the cucumbers. And for me, I wish there was a gas station closer to me that I could just go in, grab my stuff, know that my produce is going to be right there in the front, and leave. I'm not going to have to do a whole big shopping excursion for it. And to see that some of our members are doing that is so inspiring, and it's so innovative to me. I think it's brilliant that they're doing that. And a lot of neighborhoods don't have like a larger grocery store. So this is a really good opportunity for them to like grow in that space. So I like that. I also think it's really cool when our members, there's a gas station in one of our local communities here, and they're known for their burritos, their breakfast burritos. And so they
Mm.
really advertise, come get these breakfast burritos that are handmade on site, and they're not they're made for you, custom right there, and you can grab a coffee too. Like that's the kind of stuff that really is, I think, a smart way to do business, is that you can learn what's going to work in your location as well. So
Yeah, you just reminded me of a member close to us-ish. Shout out to Oak Park Market. Super cool. I remember visiting his store. He's a single site operator. He runs the business. He's behind the counter, literally interfacing with customers. And as soon as I walked into his convenience store, I just was hit with this wall of just like great smelling food. I'm like, what is that? And then I noticed I at the very back is this whole, like, what are those things, like the glass things of these
Uh-huh.
in grocery stores, but it's like Chinese food, just hot, piping hot Chinese food, ready for you to just like put in a box,
I
take out,
love that.
and take it with you to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right, like that really is, I mean, that would bring me in, so yes, the innovation is very inspirational to see, and just very cool
Yeah.
to see, I would say. Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, while we can talk about food all day long, because that's
Oh
easy to
yeah.
do, and 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 of course that's an easy sell. But I also want to say that last year the team, and you were on that, we took a tour of one of our members, and to see all of the pieces that go into running their lubes and their card lock, it's that's more on the science side and it's more on the
Mm,
technical side, and it doesn't get enough showcasing and
mm-hmm,
spotlighting. But when you're talking about learning, like bringing in computerized ways of making fuel transportation easier, safer, with less opportunity for spill, for anything that's going to be negatively impact um, our environment, these guys are on it constantly. And so while again we can talk about food, that's really easy to do, all of the innovation and the
mm-hmm.
technical um I want to say like computer inventions are really happening also in a very innovative way over there on the fuel side too. And it was really cool. While I don't fully understand all of the nuts and bolts of the technical nuts and bolts of it, it really is like very eye opening to see everything that goes into how do we make this better? How do we make it faster? Because the faster they can fuel it, then the least amount of cost, and that would make it cheaper for the consumer. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
really really cool industry.
Very fascinating. Yeah, like the less downtime. Plus, it's also, most of us probably fuel up with, just regular gasoline, but there's different types. There's regular, premium, there's diesel, renewable diesel. So it's like you also have to then juggle, like you talking about the science side of it. You can't mix all that together. So you have to keep it, this is for this and this is for that. And how do you do that while staying efficient at the same time?
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of a nerd out to talk to our members about that, but it's the best. It's also the best.
Yeah, that's the only way you can say it, nerd out. We
Yeah.
do.
Well, then kind of bringing it back full circle to us now, back to CFCA. I just want to know, what are you most proud of that CFCA has accomplished, recently or maybe in past years, that you'd like to just share with us?
I think the most recent is really and it's very encouraging to see the local chapters getting feet. um
Mm,
I thought about this when I first started. So as I kind of mentioned, coming from like state association background, a lot of the state associations have local chapters. How it was divided really differed depending on the association. But what I was hearing was really a lot of local issues. And at the time we weren't really doing that. I mean, we were kind of forced to do some of it. But we didn't have the bandwidth for it. We weren't getting the
mhm,
information soon enough. And it really is boots on the ground, right? When you've got people that are dealing with it day to day, the only way that that could be communicated to us, because we hear about it maybe after the fact. So if you were going to, as an example, if a city council member put it on the agenda, we might not hear about it and then it's too late, or we already missed the first reading. So to be able to see that the local chapters are, they're really working to get, well, not together, but the groups, the team inside the local chapters are working together to really communicate, and to see our local chapter chairs jumping in and really having the passion to make sure that other members are hearing about it, and then we become a bigger, stronger voice when we're working together. So I really am excited to see. I'm excited for what we've already accomplished, but I'm really excited to see how, with this strong chapter chairs, how they're going to move it forward in a much bigger way. I think we're going to be a much bigger voice, and that's exciting to me. I think the other piece of it that maybe in the past is really building up our voice as who we are. When people, when I started, didn't really, they knew Sioma in this that was our old name. In the legislature, they knew us, but there wasn't a lot of those conversations outside of that. There wasn't a lot of education to the consumer. But now when I go to different places, when I go to a networking event, they've heard about us. And that's exciting because the more people that hear about us, the more we're being seen in either the media or at local events, the more work we can get done. And that's exciting to me too. Some
Yeah, I mean, how it's, I mean, every year now in California, the gas tax goes up in July. And
yeah.
so that's another platform, I guess you could call it a platform, where CFCA really, it's almost like a need for us to have our name out there, not for our sake really maybe, but for our members' sake as business owners, and also for the consumers. Like, at the end of the day, consumers, if you know about CFCA, or if you even know about who our members are in any capacity, it doesn't really matter, because it's just another example of how things in this industry impact you, whether you like it or not. Like, it's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, to your point of local chapters, also another reason why I agree with you, very proud of the work that we've done there. And there's a lot more potential and growth. So I think it's going to be an exciting year for local chapters moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And also, I think it kind of ties in well to this whole conversation as we are nearing the wrap up of our conversation here. On a personal level, what motivates you to continue to fight for this industry and just continue to work with our members in this industry? It might be a long answer, but let us know it all. Cause I think, people I know that we work with, you have been the one that has shown us what this industry can really be. And so honestly, for me, thank you for doing that for us, so that we have kind of like a guiding light. Anyways, to you, yes, what motivates you to continue working in this industry?
Well, first, I think that the amount of time that you spend with the people that you work with, I think is the most important. That it's, I don't want to say a work-life balance, but it is a work-life balance. I think when you're talking about how much time we're spending together, I would say that motivates me, because you guys, the whole team, is so inspiring to me, and it's fun to have fresh ideas. And because you guys are inspired, it makes me feel like, okay, I want to get up this morning because this is really fun and we are making an impact. And seeing even us being able to celebrate small wins the same as we will a large win, I think is the best way to do a job, honestly. But in the industry specifically, there's so much challenge to it, and I say that in a positive way. I think that if it would be great to have some days that are way more easy than other days, but I think the challenge of the job makes me want to get up, because, okay, I've got people who have families. I have people that want to open their doors to their businesses today. And some of our members have 100 employees. Some of them have over 500 employees. And that type of pressure, I can't even imagine what that type of pressure is on a business owner. But to know that maybe I have a tiny little piece in helping them make sure that their children are being fed and they can drive to work. I mean, tiny. I play as a very tiny role in that, but that's enough for me to feel like this is the job that I want to do. So,
Yeah. Oh, that was so heartwarming. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. And I agree. I think a lot of us in the office too can agree and attest to that. All right, I have a couple more questions to close us out here. I know we probably just keep talking all day about our members, the association, the industry. But I think it'd be really, really cool for you to maybe leave some words of encouragement for the operators in California in the fuel and convenience industry. So what would you encourage operators to stay focused on, even when things get challenging, as it
Well,
can in
I don't
California?
want to sound like I'm repeating myself, except that I really do feel this way. I
Mm-hmm.
feel very strongly that as you continue to be innovative, and that's not an easy task because it can be very daunting to manage business in California. I think if you can stay true to your mission and why you're doing the job that you're doing, and remember that you got into this, a lot of them, because they're innovative, because they had their own passion behind being there. And it's being able to come to the table with um, fresh ideas. And we all have to buy our iPhones or whatever, and so corporation is corporation. But what small business and medium, this what they're doing is a direct impact on the state. And I just think that if they can wrap their head around it, that this is such an important role for them and to stay innovative and creative. And I think that's the only motivation in my very small space that I play here. I'm nowhere an expert in this, but I just from what I'm seeing, what's making it work in California is that.
Yeah, I know. I hear what you mean, and I know what you mean. I mean, in both the fuel and convenience side, fuel side, you see these fuel trucks going, driving. Usually I see them on the freeway, and they're just these shiny, shiny trucks with like the cleanest branding on there with these cool colors. Like even something as simple and, simple, but not simple at the same time as that
Yeah.
can really, I think make a small difference. And then in a convenience store where you place your products, things like that, innovation can show up there too. So
Well, and I
thank you for
think
sharing. Yeah.
our members really do, they really work in a community. They're part
Mm,
of the community. You see our member signage on all over different things that have nothing to do with fuel. In Sacramento, there's an annual race to feed the hungry, and
mm,
I see our member signage on that, which means that they are contributing to the community that they live in. I could speak for Sacramento because I see that, I live here, but I've also seen our members participating in cities that I don't live in Little League, in Girl Scouts, little pieces that are far beyond the reach that their gas station or their truck or their headquarters are, right? It's that expansion of beyond their space. It just goes far beyond that. And we don't get a lot of credit for that as a industry. And I think that's really important.
mm-hmm. Hey, maybe that can be our 2026 goal is to, elevate our members more in that way,
Yes,
because
tell the story.
it's the best. It is the best to see that.
Yeah.
All right. I have, at the end of every episode, I like to include some shorter, funner, quote unquote fun, because this has been fun either way, questions. You let me know which of the three you would want to answer.
Okay.
All right. So one is describe the industry in 3 words. Second is what's your current favorite convenience store snack or beverage? Third is one interesting fact you've learned about fuel ever since working in the industry.
Okay. Well, I think I answered the first one. I mean, in
Mm-hmm.
not maybe in 3 words, but in a lot of
But
words.
you have, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. And let's see, my favorite. So I'm going to answer my favorite item in a
yeah,
convenience store is the
yeah.
Juneberry Red Bull. Like,
So good.
it's so good. And you
Delicious.
cannot get that at at a grocery store. They're inconsistent, but I know when I go to my local gas station, they have the
Yep.
Juneberry Red Bull. So That's my favorite. Check that box.
Yeah. You know, now that you're mentioning it, I didn't start to drink Red Bull until last year. And you know what? I should have jumped on that bandwagon way earlier because the flavors are so good.
Yes,
like they have this apple ginger flavor from last year. And I'm like, delicious. So we'll see what flavors they come out with this year. Who's to say?
Yes.
Maybe you'll have a new favorite.
And I think maybe we'll have a new favorite in-store item if we commit to like going on maybe a convenience store tour and we can find what those custom items that our members are selling. So I encourage any of our members who are listening, if they have something that they think is really great, we will come and visit you and try your product. BNI.
Yes. Send us an email, a text, a DM, anything. We are there because, you know,
yes,
our team loves to eat.
Best sandwich, best Chinese food. We should do like best.
All of it.
Best of the best.
Best of every product category.
Yeah. And we'll try
that might be a whole year endeavor though.
I'm down. I'm down.
I'm down too. So that's okay. After we hop off, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. I'm going to go get a breakfast burrito.
Oh, I'm hungry now. Perfect timing. Well, thank you, Elizabeth, for joining us.
Thank you,
truly. Yeah, it's going to be a great 2026 of Beyond the Pump. And we'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.